Hey guys, so as requested, I'm putting together a little mini guide on how to check the position of your pages within Google Search Console. Now, apologies in advance because I'm losing my voice at the moment. I've been making lots of videos for my new client portal area for my own clients, and all I've done for the last few days is talk. But hopefully my voice won't go throughout this. Okay, so first things first, please do not Google yourself. Google knows where you live. Even if you're on private browsing, Google's still using your location, still using like the IP address and everything. And the thing is with doing that is that you lose out in loads and loads of valuable information within Google Search Console. So I really want you guys to get in the habit of using this. Like, bookmark it, make it easy for yourself. You see up here in my bookmarks, I've got all the little Google links. I've got Google Search Console down here. So please add it to your bookmarks. Make this part of your kind of weekly business things, business tasks until you get into the habit of it. And honestly, you'll thank me. It's going to be really powerful. So if you're not sure where to go to start with, you can literally just open a fresh tab and just type in Google Search Console. And it's going to come up, it's just the one at the top here. It's going to come up with a screen that's got a Start Now button. And you should be signed into the right account. And if not, well, that's a different tutorial. And you'll get to this overview screen here, okay? So there's a lot of different things on here, but just to keep things super simple, just because this is a mini tutorial and I want to just keep everything as simple as possible, you want to head over to the performance area over here, okay? Click on there. And then typically with wedding photography or any type of photography, there's a bit of seasonality. So the last thing you want to do is look at things on a really kind of granular basis of day to day. Honestly, that's just a recipe for anxiety-inducing stress. It's not going to help. SEO is best looked at in a kind of bigger picture type situation. It means that you can see patterns and trends. And with wedding photography, for example, there's different kind of trends at times of year. So if your kind of impressions have dropped, it's really handy to be able to see if that's a kind of seasonal thing. And there are things like Google Trends that you can go and look at, and you can see whether your seasonal shift is reflective as part of kind of general global trends. Anyway, I'm going to use my own website and the abysmal performance since I've relocated to Glasgow. And part of the reason I think it'd be really handy to look at this is because you can see when there's issues and they show up. So, for example, in fact, I'm just going to kind of start off telling you what these things are. So, yeah, first things first, change it to 12 months. Okay, so just click there, switch it to 12 months, and then you can look at bigger picture. Just to talk you through what these are, impressions is how many times you've been shown in the search results. Okay, clicks is how many times you've been clicked on in the organic search results. So this isn't Facebook or Instagram, this is just organic traffic. Click-through rate is how many clicks you got in relation to how many impressions. And your average position, it is just an average. It's not really useful until you start drilling down a bit, because if you rank for a lot of different terms, some of those terms might be quite low, but if you're ranking high enough for the right ones, then it doesn't really matter, Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's whether your website is making money for you and whether you're ranking highly for the right terms. I've had this appear much lower, but because I ranked for so many things, it didn't really matter too much. I was still fully booked. Whereas actually, my averages went up quite a bit, but it's because I've deleted so many underperforming blog posts that weren't relevant anymore off my website. But guess what? Those blog posts still actually did generate work for me. So even though my averages went up, my bookings have went down with me moving. So I wouldn't worry too much about your overall average position. However, before we dive into how to see how an individual page ranks, you'll see there's quite a steep drop here. This is when I had an issue with my website, with my web company. They changed the address when I had an issue with launching a staging site. And I moved to a new type of JavaScript theme that I wanted to test on myself before I recommended it to any clients. So needless to say, I've not been recommending it to any clients because it's dropped down and not really went back up. However, my website has been a little bit neglected because my focus has been on SEO more over the last few months, and I spent the summer driving up and down to Manchester. So the jury's still out on whether I'm going to be going back to my old theme or not. But it's when you kind of look at overall trends like this, I mean, it's clear to see that there was an issue in July, and checking Search Console is going to give you that valuable data that you can then use to make decisions. So anyway, let's turn on the clicks. And let's turn everything else on. So when we turn these on, you get the columns down here that show you clicks, impressions, click-through rate, and position. And if you want to see how well a particular page is performing, we can go to Pages. Now, I've taken about 40 blog posts off my website since July, since my relocation. So my website's went from 120 posts to about 80 at the moment, and I'll be taking more off and making some more updates. So some of the things shown on here are not going to be there anymore. So just for the purposes of this video, I'm going to just reduce this down to the last 28 days. Okay. So if we have a look down here, we can see we've got average position for different pages, and we can click on either of these titles here that will change the position. So if we want to see what the highest position things are, or the lowest position, we can just click on that. So my About page is in kind of the highest position at the moment. If I click on that again, it changes to the lowest. And I would recommend that you do this exercise at least once a month. You want to be looking at what things are kind of in the lowest position, and having a look at optimization opportunities, basically. So say, for example, I wanted to maybe this Friar's Cars wedding. So this is a wedding that I've potentially got next year. So if we click on just this on its own, just this anywhere in this box apart from there. So if you click on the thing with a little link, it's going to open the actual post up in a new tab. If you click over here, it's just going to show you the data for that page. So let's click on it. And what we can see is that it's had 137 impressions, 0 clicks, and average position 71.9. But that's an average. Doesn't tell us what it's ranking for. So we flip over to queries now, we can see all the things that this page itself is ranking for, and I can start working out whether is it the right things or not. So what I want to rank for is Friar's Cars wedding or weddings, and it's actually kind of halfway down page 2. So that's not too bad considering it's a new post and I've not really done too much with it. It's only been shown a couple of times for that though, and it's been shown more times for the venue, which is not what I'm aiming for. So I'd be able to assess this information and then decide what I needed to change on that post to make sure that it was going to be shown more for the relevant result rather than the actual venue. There's no point clients landing on it if they're the wrong clients and if they've not even booked the venue yet. I want people to be kind of landing on that page once maybe they're thinking about booking the venue or they've already booked the venue. So really thinking about the client journey and when you want them to kind of discover your work is really important. And you can use this data to do that, to see how Google is understanding your page, what it's ranking you for, and whether it's the right things or not. And often in my SEO consultations with clients, and by the way, I train all my clients how to use this, but in my consultations, I find that often people are ranking for the wrong things. So we'll use kind of language and their ideal client and kind of copywriting to make sure that websites get delivered for the right content, and we can test if that's working by using Google Search Console and by looking at the queries that a page gets delivered for. So to just show you another example, let's look at something maybe a little bit older. Okay, so this rustic Didsbury Parsonage wedding. So this is a previous venue, and we're showing an average of halfway down page 2 as an average. But this, when I last checked, was ranking quite high for what I wanted it to. So if we go to queries, we can see that, if we just scroll down, Didsbury Parsonage weddings on page 1. It was quite high up, but since I've moved, I've kind of dropped with quite a few of my Manchester rankings. And Didsbury Parsonage wedding is on page 1 there. Wedding photography, position 3. So this is why really the average being 14.4, doesn't really mean too much, because if I'm at the top of page 1 for the relevant things, then that's what's going to convert, to bookings. But because this is quite a long post, it ranks for a whole range of different things. And what's pulling down the average is some more general terms here, like wedding ceremony rustic. That's not very high. Google's shown it 3 times. So these will pull down your overall average. So that's why just going off an average figure isn't necessarily helpful. And just the thing is, when you type your information into search results, when you Google yourself, you miss out on all these valuable bits of information that are really going to help work out whether is this post doing what I need it to generate more income from a business. Really, that's the nitty-gritty. That's what it comes down to. So anyway, this was a quick video, so I just thought I'd give you a little bit of a insight into why you should all be using this like all the time. It's so powerful. It's a great bit of free software, and not only can you use it to help you rank better for different things, but you can also spot problems with your website theme, or problems when if you make a change from one platform to another, or you change from Divi to Flow Themes or to Show It to whatever else. If you are monitoring things within here, you can see whether it's caused a problem or not. You can see whether it has an impact on your rankings. And without the right amount of data, it makes it very hard to really gain a deep understanding and be able to use that data to make changes. So I hope that's been helpful. And clearly I've got some work to do. I've not even blogged for 2019 yet. That's not helped. But yes, glad my voice held out. And if you've got any questions, feel free to give me a shout. All right, cheers.